going to call the meeting to order. If everyone could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Jay's gonna, because we have people online and people in the audience, every vote will be taken with a roll call, so Jay's gonna call the roll.
So, good evening. This business meeting is being held both in person and virtually through Zoom in compliance with RSU 38 policy BED, remote participation in school board meetings. The meeting is being recorded and will be posted on the Miranda Cook YouTube channel. Attendance and all votes will be done through roll call. When your name is called, please cast your vote. Board members with the 3 available options of yes, approve, no, disapprove, or abstain. So board members at this point, please respond here when I call your name. So all board members joining via Zoom or in person can hear each other and can confirm that they hear each other. So having said that, Wendy.
Here.
Awesome.
Can you hear me? Okay.
We got you.
Clear.
Kristen.
Here.
David G.
Here.
Annie.
Here.
Tyler.
Here.
We got him. Christine.
Here.
Leslie.
Here.
Patricia.
Here.
Rebecca.
Here.
Sean.
Here.
Brian.
Here.
Kelty.
Here.
David Twitchell. He is traveling and may or may not be able to hear us. Abigail.
Here.
And Wyatt did contact me. He would not be here tonight for this meeting, so I'll turn it over to you, Sean.
All right, well, I usually don't read this spiel, but since we have an audience here tonight, which is wonderful to see people participating in the process, so it's good to have everyone with us tonight. Good evening, and thank you all for coming tonight. Before we get started, I'd like to remind everyone of our agreed upon core values of integrity, perseverance, family, respect, collaboration, and trust. These values support our mission of being a caring school community dedicated to excellence, and our vision of being safe, dynamic learning communities where people of all ages will think, inspire, participate as responsible citizens in an ever-changing global society. This budget meeting, as we said, is being held in person and on Zoom. There's also, you can't see, but there's also a number of people at home online who will be able to participate as well. Citizens' comments, public participation. This is number 3B for budget-related items on tonight's agenda. In accordance with RSU 38 policy BEDH, public participation at school board meetings, the following guidelines will be followed. For those attending via Zoom, you'll notice that the microphones will be muted except during the identified portions of public comments at this meeting. This is number 3B. If you're viewing on Zoom and would like to speak during the public comments time, please use the chat feature to notify Diane McGregor, and she will communicate with me to let me know you want to talk. In-person speakers, please sign up on the clipboard by the door. All speakers will need to identify yourself first and last name and the town you live in. Priority will be given to individuals who live or pay taxes in our member communities, immediate family members of enrolled students, employees of RSU 38. Individuals that do not have one of these direct connections to our district may or not be given permission to speak at the discretion of the board chair. I'm going to allow everyone who's here that wants to speak, so we'll get that out of the way. We ask that speakers please limit their comments to 3 minutes, and if someone who has similar views as yours speaks ahead of you, please reference their comment rather than repeat these same ideas. We want to hear from all of our stakeholders and ask that you be respectful with construction comments to the board. I'd also like to clarify how we address concerns of the public. In accordance with RSU 38 policy BEDH, we welcome all respectful comments and concerns, and we ask that you not use any derogatory comments or use names of or identifying comments of any district personnel. We cannot discuss specific personnel matters in a public setting, but can listen to broad concerns folks may have. All speakers are to address the chair and direct questions or comments to particular board members only with approval of the chair. The board will hear and record the comments and questions, but will not debate the matters at this meeting. Board members' questions must be addressed through the chair. Following the meeting, we will take time to research and gather information on the matter, and at the next board meeting, we'll follow up with information issues. The public is always encouraged to call their superintendent at any time with any issues or concerns. So on that note, we are going to adhere to a strict 3-minute time clock, and I just asked that there's a lot of emotion. I've received probably more phone calls than I have in my time, and some folks get a little wound, and so I get it. Everyone here cares about kids. You wouldn't be here if you didn't. Everyone just has different views on how we're going to get there. So on that note, there was yes, I can say it. Yeah. There was a grievance filed based on a decision that we made at last meeting. Some of the folks, based on decisions that we made, should have been notified via contract. They weren't. Unfortunately, people are human. People are doing the best they can to make this all work. So on that note, there was 3 requests in the grievance. 1 and 3 have been met, and I will consider a motion so that we can meet item number 2 of that grievance.
I move that we reconsider our actions and votes at the meeting
Yep.
last week, whatever date that
And I want to include, it was the elementary ed tech, well, sorry, if you want to read those, since you're making the motion, just read those 3.
The elementary ed tech, the elementary library ed tech, and the elementary math ed tech.
Second.
Thank you.
Having been moved and seconded, discussion. Guilty, go ahead.
Thank you. Is this being moved to address the second item of the grievance report?
That would be correct,
Okay.
in the affirmative.
Can you relist the positions, Sean?
It's the 3 that we caught, or were eliminated last time. Elementary tech, ed tech, the elementary library ed tech, .6 position, and the elementary math ed tech. I'm reading it down. Go ahead.
So to pacify meeting that grievance request, that condition in the contract has to be met, which would not be happening right now.
It's been met.
It's been,
It's been met. And it says that in this. It's been met.
So why are we moving?
Because we want to start back over because it wasn't met when we made that decision. And I feel, I guess I
Gotcha.
feel, and
Okay.
others feel that we should start back over at ground zero from last meeting.
Okay,
And that's what this vote is. Either you agree with that.
that makes sense
or you
in
don't.
order of operations. Thank you.
All right. Seeing no further discussion, I call for a vote.
all righty. Wendy, you're up first.
Am I voting yes to cut the positions?
No, you're voting yes to reconsider, so we start back. If you vote
Oh,
yes, we're starting
yes.
back where we started at last meeting.
Okay, yes.
Okay, got it. Kristen,
Yes.
David G,
Yes.
Annie,
Yes.
Tyler,
Yes.
Christine,
Yes.
Leslie,
Yes.
Patricia,
Yes.
Rebecca,
Yes.
Sean,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
Kelty,
Yes.
and David has not joined us yet, right? Okay, just double checking, and Abigail.
Yes.
So it carries unanimously.
All right, and so now I'm gonna move into public comment. So give me 1 minute to go see who's. So how many, Diane, do we have people online yet?
Yes.
I'm gonna do the first 5 on the paper, and then we're gonna go to the first 5 online. If there's not 5, that's how I'm gonna do it. So the first up is Katie Beardsley. And to remind folks, you have 3 minutes.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen,
esteemed educators, and passionate advocates for global understanding gathered here in Reedfield, Maine this evening. My name is Katie Beardsley, and I am the French teacher here. Tonight I have the privilege of addressing a topic close to our hearts and our heritage, the imperative of teaching world languages such as French, Spanish, and German to students at a critical stage in their lives, 6th, 7th, and 8th grades. In Reedfield, Manchester, Wayne, Mount Vernon, and Fayette, Kennebec County, and pretty much all of Maine, where French is not just a language but a part of our historical tapestry, the importance of embracing these linguistic roots and expanding to include other languages like Spanish and German is paramount. Firstly, let's consider the cognitive benefits. Learning a second language at a young age has been proven to enhance mental agility, improve problem-solving capabilities, and foster creative thinking. For our young learners in Kennebec County, our community, where the echoes of French heritage resonate, the study of French, Spanish, and German during early adolescence taps into their natural capacity for language acquisition, magnifying these cognitive benefits. Moreover, language serves as a bridge to cultural understanding. The threads of French culture are interwoven with the fabric of our community. World languages opens doors to a deeper appreciation of our own history, as well as the rich culture of other nations. This understanding fosters empathy, respect, and an appreciation for diversity, which are indispensable in today's interconnected global landscape. The practical advantages of bilingualism or multilingualism in the global economy also cannot be ignored. Proficiency in world languages equips our students with a competitive edge in a diverse job market, preparing them for a multitude of opportunities both here and abroad. As educators and community leaders in our region, we have the opportunity and the responsibility to ensure our students are not only inheritors of our rich linguistic heritage, but also participants in a global dialogue. In conclusion, by teaching world languages to our students in all grade levels, we are not merely educating them, we are honoring our past, enriching their present, and investing in their future. It is our duty to provide them with the keys to unlock the full potential of their heritage and their abilities as global citizens. Let us therefore commit to fostering a learning environment that celebrates our linguistic diversity and prepares our young people for the challenges and opportunities of a multicultural, multilingual world. Merci beaucoup.
All right, thank you so much. Next up is Shirley Allen.
Good evening. My name is Shirley Allen, and I am the Spanish middle school teacher. I have a master's degree in Spanish, and I'm currently working on another master's degree in education through Boston College. I wanted to first of all thank the school board for all of your thoughtful questions and discussions you've had over the past couple of weeks. It's been really helpful and comforting. Tonight I want to explain to you why cutting 3 world language teachers in the middle school and requiring high school language teachers to service middle school students would be a mistake. Students are more than numbers. You have already seen and heard that the middle school has the highest student-teacher ratios. Research tells us that other than infancy, young adolescence is the greatest period of change in the human lifespan. Physical, cognitive, social, emotional, and psychological changes are wreaking havoc on the children in this building. We must be responsive. Developmentally, middle school students require more and varied relationships than adults. When you reduce the pool of adults in the middle school building, you are reducing the support systems of our students. On March 27th, one of the town selectmen acknowledged that it is reasonable for some classes, like AP Calculus, to be small. Well, if a small math class is reasonable, why isn't a small world language class reasonable? Communication is central in a world language classroom. ACTFL, which is our national association, published a position paper in 2020 that explains that maintaining small class sizes has a positive effect on student achievement and satisfaction when acquiring a new language. Small class sizes are vital for language acquisition. Having multiple world language instructors increases student proficiency because proficiency is predicated on multiple interactions with multiple people. Communication is a relationship and is behaviorally pattern dependent. If students in RSU 38 only have one instructor, they will not develop flexibility in their communication patterns. Students deserve the opportunity to learn from multiple language instructors. Teachers are people, not positions. Our high school teachers already have a full schedule and multiple responsibilities in their own building. Last year, our middle school French teacher was asked to teach high school classes during his free period. As his friend and as his colleague, I saw the strain he was under. It was too much. Research demonstrates the cognitive and social emotional benefits of acquiring a world language. If you are able to acquire one language, you can acquire another. We seek world language justice for every student. World language teachers do more than teach content. We build lasting relationships. We are educators because we relish the relationships forged with our students. We came into education to make the world a better place.
You could wrap up, please.
Teachers want to change the world one life at a time. We need every teacher in our building to effectively do that.
Thank you so much. Next. If we can refrain from clapping, booing, all that. As I said, there's a lot of emotions, but someone may say something you don't agree with, so. All right, thanks. Hillary Koch, am I saying it right? Koch.
Hi, my name is Hillary Koch. I'm the new German teacher here at the middle school. I have a master's degree in German and I have 15 years of teaching experience. People who meet me are often surprised to learn that I'm really a recluse at heart. I'm actually uncomfortable in large groups, but I'm a really neat party trick because I speak several languages. In addition to German, I also speak Spanish, and I can say a few words in Russian, Korean, Danish, Japanese, and French. Some would say I have an affinity for languages, but honestly, I attribute my success to being introduced to Spanish in junior high. But junior high was a terrible time for me. I didn't fit in. At one point, the bottom of my hair was shaved, the top was spiked, and it was dyed white. Then I dyed it purple, and I was bullied. I was miserable. But 3 things saved me: theater, one teacher, and Spanish. Now, I've always told people you couldn't pay me enough to go back to junior high. But here I am, teaching the toughest of the tough, the same age I was when life looked the bleakest, because I know what a difference one teacher can make and what languages did for me. So I can tell you tonight how important introducing world languages is at this stage, how middle school years are a critical period of brain development, and how studies show that children who start learning a second language before puberty tend to achieve higher levels of proficiency. But I must also tell you that teaching the language is just the beginning of what we do, that it grants people access to cultural understanding. It's the difference between understanding what Germans view as fresh air and a draft. That is, if a German opens a window in a stuffy room, it means they care about you and they don't want you to get sick. But if a German sits a visiting dignitary by an open window, they may be attempting a covert assassination. But ultimately, the question remains how removing the world language positions at the middle school might impact students, and it would harm them. Sure, much of what we do starts in the classroom, but it extends beyond our walls. It's the connections that I make with students while playing cards or Battleship during indoor activity. It's the connections with 6th grader who looks to me every morning just to say Guten Morgen as they walk through the halls. Or even after school, as our principal will attest, it's not unusual to find my colleagues and me in our rooms on a Friday afternoon. It's the connections we make when we discuss really serious issues, like how I had Alabama beating UNC in March Madness. These interactions foster meaningful relationships, which translate to success in the classroom. Some of these kids find world language is the one place where they shine, where they gain confidence and where they discover what they're good at, or where they meet a friend. And we know that once we make these connections, they're often made for life. Students come back to visit when they go to high school and after they graduate, but none of this could happen if we weren't in the building. So thank you so much for this amazing year that I've had, regardless of how you vote. I love the kids, I love our staff, and I really have appreciated this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. Carrie Anderson.
Thanks for hearing our comments tonight. I'm Carrie Anderson. I teach German and am the learning leader of the World Language Department at the high school. My department colleagues at the high school couldn't be here tonight, but they're here in spirit and support. Why are we here? At the root of it, are we here because there's a belief that learning other languages isn't really that important? And therefore, world language teachers should expect our jobs to be on the chopping block, as they frequently have been over the past couple decades. We language teachers consistently need to defend our existence, and that can feel quite demoralizing. During the school board meeting last week, though, one comment really struck me positively. Someone shared that he had a young family member living in another part of the world, and this family member was already learning multiple languages as a young child. That's beautiful. Many more of us here in the US could be learning more languages at a young age. We can imagine that, but we have to care too. We have to value it, and we have to value what language learning opportunities we have right now. How many job openings are Maranacook students going to see in their future, where at the bottom of the listing it says, and I quote, "We are especially interested in candidates who speak multiple languages, recognizing that many of the communities we work with have significant language diversity. Speaking a language in addition to English is not required, but is a beneficial additional skill." That is verbatim at the bottom of a current job opening in Maine, just one of many. Multilingualism is a skill that will increasingly help our students entering so many different career fields: healthcare, legal fields, social work, business, education, communications, politics, the list goes on. And we open doors to more scholarships, educational opportunities, and reductions in tuition when we help students prioritize learning other languages. Just today, I listened as a Bates College admissions officer told students that pursuing world language, especially German, at Bates was critical right now and could be a factor in helping students gain admission. Over the weekend, I reached out to two of my former roommates who now live in Duluth, Minnesota, and Anchorage, Alaska. They have children currently in middle school. I was curious, what are their middle school world language offerings? At the middle school in Duluth, students can choose between learning Spanish, German, or Ojibwe. In Anchorage, my friends' kids are learning Spanish, but there's a public school lottery program for any middle schooler in Anchorage where they can learn Chinese, German, Spanish, French, Russian, Japanese, and Yupik. Anchorage schools also offer many of these languages in elementary schools and in immersion settings. Maybe thinking about what kids in Duluth and Anchorage are learning doesn't seem relevant, but I think it's inspiring. I think it's good to know what's happening in other places. We share this country and our future. We have 6 teachers in this district offering their expertise in world language education, offering their time as advisors and as supports to students. Do you want to eliminate half of these positions?
Can you wrap up?
Yeah, I'm like, thank you.
2 more seconds.
It would create a far less tenable situation for the half that remains at the high school, and it would reduce your children's access to opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Mark Rose. I'm just gonna, sorry, I'll let you say your name.
You're doing fine. My name is Mark Rauskal. I live in Reedfield. I have a child in the 8th grade and then the 5th grade in this district. And the reason I don't prepare remarks for these things is because everybody says everything that I wanted to say ahead of time. I would like instead to address myself to the budgetary compromise that I believe lies at the heart of this, which is a concern over access control and security in the buildings, and that this has something to do with why we're considering cutting these positions. After due consideration, I think that it is a erroneous fallacy to believe that reducing the number of staff, in particular the number of staff in non-STEM, non-core fields, will actually improve the security of our school. I apologize for going into sort of the elephant in the room space, but one thing that tends to dominate the headlines about the tragedies that I know is in the back of some of your minds is that the people who perpetrate these actions are outsiders, are loners, are people who never formed connections within their school communities, and these exacerbated other underlying considerations. Language teachers, drama teachers, school service officers, janitors, every pair of eyes, every divergent staff person in the school is a point of contact and offers an opportunity for that outsider, for that weird kid, for the one with the shaved hair and the blue tips, weirdo like me that hung out in the drug and alcohol program even though I was straight-edged in high school. It offers them a little point of connection, and I think that that is what makes a school safe. Not having any of the kids walk out of this place saying, what the heck did I do with the last 8 years of my life? I'm going to make a statement. We need to be connecting with these kids, and we need every caring, interested, unique perspective on staff to do. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate you listening to our comments.
Yes, thank you for coming tonight. Diane, going to take the 5 online, please.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Outstanding. Hello, and thank you. My name is Amy Ryder. I teach at Marina Cook Middle School and have been a teacher in this district for, I hate to say it, but over 25 years. First, I'd like to thank the eloquent world language teachers for speaking tonight. And I'd like to follow their remarks with a few things for the board to consider. And the first is that if we were to cut 3 foreign language teachers from the middle school, we would be cutting the only place in our students' curriculum, K-12, where everyone has to be involved in a world language program. So in the middle school currently, all students are involved in either a cultural world language program where they get a taste of Spanish, German, and French, or a year-long world language program. The high school offers world language, but it is not required. If we were to make it such that we do not have a world language program with these world language teachers in our middle school, we would no longer offer that experience to all of our students. It's the only place it happens, and it opens doors and windows to the world for our kids in rural Maine. Second, I was at parent-teacher conferences at the high school a few weeks ago and ran into 2 of our world language teachers up there, one of whom happens to be one of my son's advisors. And both, without being prompted, wanted to speak clearly about the success of their high school level 5 students on their Apple tests, and to assert without being prompted that that was because of the robust middle school program. If we truly want to be a school community dedicated to excellence, we have to maintain world language in the middle school. Third, as many of you on the board are aware, and I believe some in the community, the middle school has been tasked with a restructuring this year, and we have spent many months in meetings coming up with a restructuring plan with students at the forefront. That plan has been accepted by the superintendent, and that plan is based on current staffing, including 3 world language teachers. So if those positions were to be cut, we go back to square one on that restructuring after we've spent all the time trying to do what is best for students. Finally, I would just like to reiterate or even beg the board, please talk to the high school foreign language teacher who had a shared position last year. Please understand the stress that that created for that person and for their students. Once again, I appreciate the board's time and thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much. Yep. All right, you can introduce yourself and then you'll have your 3 minutes. Thank you.
Great. Hi, my name is Fallon Sweeney. I graduated from Maranacook in 2007. I currently live in Mount Vernon, and I have been the Spanish teacher at Messalonsky Middle School for the past 11 years. I want to speak about the importance of foreign language education and offering language opportunities specifically in a middle school setting. First of all, because so much research says that language learning is easier when you're younger, it doesn't make any sense to wait until high school for a student to begin this process. I know also that I likely wouldn't be teaching Spanish today had I not started learning the language in 6th grade. It was my favorite class in middle school, and it was the place where I felt like I was the most successful. I know that many of my own middle school students would say the same about my Spanish classes. Foreign language classes help students build confidence through interpersonal speaking, as well as build problem-solving skills and cultural awareness. The cultural and geographical piece is especially important. Our students need a variety of opportunities across all content areas to learn about our world. Lastly, Maine's population is growing, and more people are moving to our state that might not speak English as their first language. We can't take away opportunities for our students to start language learning when this skill might open up future jobs. There are so many reasons, I could talk for hours about why every middle school should offer language classes to their students. So just please don't take away this incredible opportunity for our students. Thank you for your time and the chance to speak.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Are there any more online? All right, no more online. We'll go back to Jean Rose. You're up.
Greetings and thank you for the opportunity to share my thoughts. My name is Jean Rosner. I'm a resident of Reedfield, Maine, a parent of 2 amazing children attending Maranacook Community School, a graduate of Maranacook Area Schools, and a teacher of 21 years in our district. I'm here tonight to request the following. I respectfully ask that the board direct our district administrative staff to work towards meeting both the district mission and vision statements, to follow the guiding principles adopted by the board, to follow board policies, especially regarding communication and staff voice, and to follow our mutually agreed upon staff contract language. As a board, I ask you all to follow best practices in leadership, to follow our mutually agreed upon staff contracts, and to make decisions keeping your stated guidelines and stated guiding principles, mission, and vision statement in mind. It's not easy to determine where resources should be allocated in a season of change and challenge. I do not envy you your jobs. I do ask that you step into the leadership role with grace, kindness, and awareness. The positions you are considering are connected to people, and people deserve to be treated with dignity and respect. Our staff deserves knowing that our board and our administration will abide by our mutual agreements, policies, and contracts. This did not happen last week. Our staff deserve an apology that they will likely never hear. Suggesting that positions be cut without seeking stakeholder input, without seeking building supervisors' input, is not best practice. It leaves those people feeling as if they are not valued, not important, not respected. In a word, expendable. In a caring community dedicated to excellence, these actions are just not okay. These actions set us up for an us versus them atmosphere, which is really not good for our kids. Our vision statement is Maranacook Schools will be a safe, dynamic learning community where people of all ages will think, aspire, and participate as responsible citizens in an ever-changing global society. How can one be prepared to be part of a global society when one cannot share ideas in another language? How can we be responsible citizens when we ignore research that when we make decisions for our children? The Association of Middle-Level Educators states that world languages are an important component of learning in the middle grades and gives students the gift of access to more people, perspectives, ideas, and experiences. AML also notes that an earlier start provides students with more options. Board Policy AD says the board will always consider the welfare of students as the single most important factor and making decisions relative to education policy. Following the research, we need to figure out how to make world languages accessible to our middle school students. What is best for our students, or the bottom line, our most important factor in our decision. I'm told that all other area school boards are currently looking at 10% or higher growth as inflation finally catches up with their budgets. Our teacher salaries are in the lower third of the state, and our mill rates are historically the lowest in the county. Just to keep up with 2024 inflation, we're looking at a 3.2% adjustment. Why are we choosing to set our growth so low when other area towns are choosing to invest more in their students? Thank you for your time and your commitment to our town and our students.
Thank you. Next up will be Susan Warren.
Thank you. I just wanted to come tonight. I haven't been to any meetings here. Sorry, my name is Susan Warren. I'm a Reedfield resident, a Marina Cook graduate. I have 2 students here at school at the 8th grade and 10th grade. And as my students are moving on out of middle school, I just want to share that they've had such wonderful experiences, that the foreign language department has offered them some global perspective. And in rural Maine, that's hard to come by. That they've enjoyed learning all of these different languages. It's helped to build their confidence. And they're both looking forward to some trips coming right up that our foreign language department teachers have gone above and beyond to provide extra opportunities for our kids. And as all of our kids are going out into the world, I wish all of that for them, the confidence, the perspective, the language. And I just want to make sure that we're thinking about individual children. I know it's easy to get caught up in numbers, and the money, of course, is driving everything. But thank you very much.
Thank you so much for coming. Next up is Amy Tucker.
I am, excuse me, I'm Amy Tucker. I'm from Wayne. I have a daughter at the middle school. I'm a teacher in the middle school, and I'm a perpetual student. For more than 3 decades, I've been studying education from multiple perspectives. When I meet people on the street who ask what I do, I'm met with shock and awe and gratitude and sometimes remorse. Middle school is often considered the most challenging time of people's lives. Everything is changing and growing at different rates. Everyone is going through so much and trying to figure out who they're going to be as an adult. They are increasingly seeking responsibility and independence while they desperately need support and reassurance from peers and adults. MCMS uses research-based practices to support students as they navigate these changes and decisions. Just the 3 teachers on my team have collectively worked in nearly 20 different middle schools, and we are grateful to be in a school that uses best practices to support our students. The staff at the middle school love your children, and we appreciate the struggles and their mistakes and their successes and the growth we see in them over the course of their 3 years with us. I'm a board member of the Maine Association of Middle-Level Educators, and in a recent meeting with other board members, I proudly shared some of the improvements we've seen at the middle school, including improvements on the Maine Integrated Youth Health Survey and improvement in students' academic engagement. Then I listened to other board members who are incredible educators share the challenges they are facing this year, saying each year is worse than the last. I believe that it is because of our practices and our advisor system that we are in a stronger than average position. This year hasn't been perfect, but I believe we're making gains and we're in an upswing. I also participated on the middle school restructuring committee this year, and when we received information about the changes, we took that task seriously. We were asked to increase art, music, health, and phys ed, and to make team and class sizes more equitable. It's bold and brave to increase unified arts at a time where many students are struggling to be on grade level with reading and math. But there's a lot of research that supports the arts and physical music, the arts and physical movement, and that they help brain development to increase learning in all areas, including math and reading. These are classes where many students shine. This may improve attendance and may improve student engagement. The trade-off of doubling all of these unified arts classes in exchange for a small percentage of core content time seems to be a good value. We as teachers have already begun to imagine how we can minimize the decrease in time on teams, pushing to ensure that math and reading are not negatively affected, and looking for creative ways to ensure that all students will continue to have robust science and social studies education. I'm proud to work with these teachers who collaboratively seek solutions to problems, ensuring that students are, and what is in the best interest of students remains at the center of our discussions. We dug into 2 proposals, quickly recognizing that one proposal would meet all of the requirements that were requested, while also allowing for continuity of learning for the vast majority of students. It was, however, developed with the expectation that we would retain our current staffing levels. World language and all the middle school teachers play integral roles in this proposal. It will also reduce us by 1 team and max out class sizes. And the smaller class sizes that have been mentioned in previous meetings are evened out in this proposal, with all world language classes having around 17 students. Most team classes and all unified arts classes will have 23 to 25 students in every class over the next few years. And I've shared some information with board members as well. Retaining all teachers would allow us to provide opportunities for students during lunches, to support our advisee system, and to better support math and reading to keep the class sizes down. We have an opportunity to create equitable teams, supporting the whole child, and I believe that maintaining current staffing levels will help us to be even more successful. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Margaret Dory? Yeah. Sure.
Hi, I'm Margot Burns-Georgi, and I'm really grateful to be here. And I first want to say that I'm probably going to speak from the heart, and it may not be logical. So, warning. And that's to be said, I think I need to speak from the heart because I'm concerned that there's a lot of animosity in this room right now. And I think that we need to come back to remembering how much we love our kids, and that this really, really is about how much we love our kids. And I'm just going to tell a couple quick stories. And one is that I went to this school and I met my lovely husband here, and he went to Arizona State. He couldn't get far enough away from here, and I went to school in Boston. Anyway, long story short, we ended up having 3 children, and they all went here, which was really, really special. And they all got to take a world language, and starting in middle school. And I did too, and Dean did too. And it really allowed me and allowed them to think in a way that was not just like, even though I love Maine. I mean, Maine, I came back here after 25 years because I love it so much. It's like, there's no place like it. But so I'm here, and my kids were here because we wanted them to have that experience of growing up in Maine, but we also wanted them to be able to feel and taste and touch other places. And it's easier to do that if you feel like you've been educated in that and the language doesn't feel scary. You actually feel like you could actually speak a little bit in the language. And so when I was in high school, I went, and I have to play a song. So I went with my friend Phil Lindsay to Germany. It was crazy. There were no cell phones, you know. But I have to play the song because some of you, let's see, hopefully it'll play. And if it doesn't. You get the point. So that was popular when I was a kid. So yes, I'm 57. And so Phil and I went to Germany. It was crazy. There was a choir that had come here to Reedfield, to the church. And the pastor said, come back, come stay with us. So I went and stayed with this pastor who was sehr streng, very strict, which was kind of scary. But anyway, so I stayed with this family. And it changed, everything changed. Like if you have been somewhere different than Maine, different than the United States, you go and you try the food and you hear the songs and everything's new again. For me, it felt almost heavenly. I know that sounds a little extreme, but it felt like trying fresh brötchen, fresh bread every day. We went every day and got fresh bread. It was amazing. And then also like hearing the music, seeing the clothing, everything about it just opened my eyes to make me feel like this is an exciting life. I want to see other places. Last thing, my daughter Nina is now in Norway. She's studying in Norway, and actually it's a lot less expensive, I'll tell you. And there, you know, Maggie, we know Maggie McQuillan's in Germany studying there, and it's, I don't know if it's free, but it's close. So these are opportunities that are open to our kids, and I just don't want to close them. And it is so exciting that they can start as young people, find something they love, dream about going somewhere else, and maybe 25 years later come back to Maine.
Thank you so much. Next up is Lee Matthew.
Hi, my name is Lee Matthew. I'm from Mount Vernon, and I'm a proud Maranacook Class of '99 alumnus. I'm in my 20th year of teaching, and I'm so grateful to love what I do. Although I am currently a grade math teacher, I spent my first 6 years in education teaching Spanish to grades 3 through 8. When my daughter was approaching school age, her dad, a Maranacook alumnus as well, and I knew that we wanted her to have the best educational experience public ed could offer. So there was no question to move to this community school. We both did. Part of what has always made Maranacook a wonderful school is the diverse offerings it provides for its students. Middle school is a time during a student's education that should encourage the practice of curiosity. And this is best done when the menu of choices is rich and full of options. It is also the time when language acquisition is stronger to later in a schooling career. I can think of no other time when the imperative to learn a foreign language is so great. Language offers all of us a view into one another. It allows us to grow an understanding of the thoughts, feelings, and perceptions of others, and at a time when our world is so divided with conflict and misunderstanding, we are in desperate need for a unifying tool to shift this dynamic. Language communication is this tool. To cut the foreign languages from Maranacook Middle School would be to send this generation of students backward enormously. The high school teachers, no doubt, are already maxed in their offerings for the high school students. To ask them to help provide a foreign language experience for middle schoolers in addition to their current workload would be irresponsible and would shortchange all learners. I have no doubt that coming up with the areas in which the budget must be cut is a task that is difficult and burdensome, to say the least. And I know you all want what is best for all of our students. It is my belief that continuing to provide foreign language learning opportunities for our students in the middle school is part of that package, and that budget cuts must be sought elsewhere. Thank you for your time and for serving our communities.
Thank you so much. Next up is Amy Ryder.
She was online.
Oh, she was online. Oh, sorry. Okay, that's right. I thought I skipped. Yeah, my brain's, yep, that's right. Lucy Correll? That's right.
Hi, I'm Lucy Coriel. I attend Maranacook Middle School and I live in Mount Vernon. To cut world language would be a major setback in diversity. Here at Maranacook, we pride ourselves as a caring school community dedicated to excellence. And cutting world languages in the middle school would be a critical step in the wrong direction for our community's future. During my time at the middle school, I have thrived due to the support from my teachers and the knowledge I have been able to gain. By studying a world language, I have achieved a better understanding of how to communicate with others, not only in English, but in a whole new one. In fact, by putting time into learning new methods to communicate with others, I have broadened my horizons and discovered the importance of connecting with the world around me. I have learned more about other cultures and their fascinating customs, which has only tempted me to learn more. I truly believe that learning other languages teaches us to connect, not just with our town or our state or our country, but with the world. If Maranacook is truthfully a caring school community dedicated to excellence, they will surely rethink cutting world language. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, next up is Patty Gordon.
Hi, nice to see you guys.
I wish this was like the legislature where if you used to serve, you have to bring treats.
Oh, I wish I knew. I would have done that. I'm Patty Gordon. I'm from Reedfield. I had 2 kids come through Maranacook system. I worked at the middle school for about 20 years before it was a school. I mean, it was a school, but before there was a building. And I was on the school board with a lot of you for a number of years. And I know budget season is brutal and it is really hard to pay attention. For me, it was hard to pay attention when you have a meeting where 1 million people want to say stuff. And it's really hard to just keep on, right? I feel you. But I just wanted to say, though I agree with everybody who has spoken, I still wanted to say something. I currently work at University of Maine at Farmington, and I am a teacher educator, so I teach education courses to people who want to be teachers. We talk about best practice all the time. We teach best practice to undergraduates who want to be teachers in this awesome, stellar teacher training program at UMF. Best practice means you research stuff with multiple sources and find out what is working the most and try it and see the positive effects and add your own research to the wonderful research, right? So we really need to keep going with the best practices that we have had in this district. I'm so proud now as a UMF employee when I work with student teachers or practicum students who are working in all of the schools in our district. I'm so proud, I'm so psyched that our district is doing wonderful things and supporting teacher educators to come join with the wonderful staff doing this best practice. And I encourage you to, even if you're tired, board members, and even if it's so many people talking at you and hard and contentious, to just hang on and keep asking questions about this restructuring proposal that questions the best practices we know to be true. Please keep asking questions. Please ask questions about the answers to the questions so that we can really weigh this hard. Budget season is rugged, I know, but I think we want to err on the side of best practice. Thank you.
Thank you, Patty. Next up is another former board member, Kathy Jacobs. It would have been some great treats if that was the practice.
I didn't make any treats for you, sorry. So I'm Kathy Jacobs. I'm from Mount Vernon. I'm a former principal here at Maranacook Middle School. I'm also a former board member, a former UMF employee who worked with teachers as well as Patty. And I just want to say that we've talked a lot about foreign language, and I agree with everything that everybody's said so far. But I'm looking a little bit further than just foreign language when we talk about best practice and we talk about budgets and we talk about decisions and how decisions are made. You know, I'm looking at the list of all the things that might save our budget. I have 2 points that I want to make. First of all, I don't think we should make decisions based on budget. I think we need to make sure that we're making decisions based on what's best for our students. And I fear that right now we're making decisions based on the budget. People want they want to continue to have an excellent education for their students in this district. And in order to do that, we're going to have to pay for it. And I think we just need to continue to think in that way. My other concern is we're making some decisions that where are we headed in the future? We've been working on a strategic plan, but we haven't got there yet with the strategic plan. How does the strategic plan come into play when we start making these decisions? Are we following what we said we wanted to do through the strategic plan? We don't have one yet, so how can we? We had one that ended in January. But I'm just really concerned about how decisions are being made, why decisions are being made, and if best practices are continuing to be followed. So I would just ask that you think about that when you're thinking about budget cuts. And I don't think budget cuts is a good reason to cut any of these positions that directly impact students. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Next up is John Harker.
Also a former board member.
I know, it would have been good.
No treats tonight.
No apples?
Oh, I'll try that next fall. Thank you. I'm John Harker from Mount Vernon. Before you start my time, I just had a question that I wanted to have answered. The current sheet that you have here that talks about the total amount per town that's going to be paid, is that based on adding all this stuff in? I'm a little confused. It looks like it's all finalized, but I don't know what's included in those numbers.
It's based on, everything is in except the 3 positions we put back in tonight at the start of the meeting. Does that make sense? So none of those, all those positions are in there, in that number.
Yeah.
But then you're gonna add, well, depending on what happened, but as of right now, those three positions that I mentioned, which I don't know where my notes are, the ed techs and.
They're all ed techs.
They're all, the 3 ed techs, that would add an additional amount. I can't tell you what that amount is in a second.
So so it also includes all the, on the budget request update, includes all those?
Yes.
Okay. I'll start my time. I appreciate that. The goal Jay gave at the beginning of this whole process was 1% to 2% increase this year, and we now stand close to 9%. Tyler Dunn wanted you to bring it back to 5%, but I agree 100% with Kathy. Forget the numbers. It's how many teacher-student interactions, which helps learning. That's what we need to be looking at and focused on. And forget these other numbers. And some of this stuff is a given. You're going to have to do salary increases. You're going to have to do health increases. Fine, put those in there. But focus only on the kids and the teachers. I think that's the most important thing. Now, if that's the goal, I hope you put back in those positions because you had some ESSA goals this year. 75% of students would meet growth targets in math and reading. Did they? Did anybody ask, where do we stand? And if they didn't, why are you getting rid of math and literacy people? I don't know, especially in Mount Vernon, where I live. So that's one of the biggest things I have to say about it. But I would also like to say that the tuition rates could go up. I can see that they're a little bit down. And now I'm going to give you my recommendations. If you want to focus on teachers and students, then what you want to do is have the administrators take a 10% salary decrease. You know, let them focus on getting better at what they do. 10% cut in administrative pay would save a lot of money. Cut out the curriculum director position. Before we had one, and we didn't have one for a long, long time, the principals and the teachers did all that kind of work. And you approved the curriculums. I believe you're not even seeing the new curriculums that are coming forward to approve them. And cut out the school resource officer position. It was great last year, but really, you know how much money you can save? That would take, you could probably add almost 2 new teaching positions, direct to student involvement. Most of the teachers in a survey last year said this is a safe school. I agree. So I would encourage you to look at those cuts to try to meet your needs to get more teachers there. One last thing I wanted to add is that, and I already mentioned this to Jay, just remember when you're voting that it's proportional voting, it's not individual voting. So each town has a proportion. I don't know if you folks knew that or not, but if you didn't, remember that's proportional voting, not each person has a vote. And lastly, I hope to come back next time when you talk about your school plan, because again, I want to encourage you to look at what I sent you in an email and come up with a new recommendation that does not include going to the CDC or NIH or any government organization to talk about emergency plans here. Kids need to stay in school, and they've proved it. New York Times has proved it. Teacher to student interaction. That's what we need in the school system. Thank you.
Thanks, John. We have another person online. Diane's let me know, so can you let them in? You can go ahead. Introduce yourself, please.
Hi, I'm Sue Spalding, although the picture that you might see is mostly my husband. I'm in the back of the picture. Can you hear me okay?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, good.
Go ahead.
It's disconcerting. Oh, okay, good, because I'm just seeing myself on the screen. I am a resident of Wayne. I have had 2 children graduate from Maranacook in 2002 and 2006. And I was on the school board for many, many years, both in Wayne and at Maranacook before it was an RSU. So I do understand the difficulty of being on the board and being in the midst of budget. It's not an easy time, and I understand that. I agree with everything that people have said. I was particularly impressed by the last speaker, and also I agree with Kathy Jacobs that I think the board needs to stand up for what they think is best educationally and let the communities deal with the budget part of it. I mean, I know you have to deal with budget as well, but my experience, and I've been in this town for more years than I can even remember right now, and Maranacook, these districts, these towns, I should say, have always been very supportive of education and have passed the budget. I don't remember ever having to go back to re-vote on a budget like districts that I've been involved with in the past. So I just think it's important that you, again, focus on what's best educationally. I'm not a foreign language teacher. I was a guidance counselor for 17 years. And so I do know the importance of foreign language education for students who want to go on to college, and it certainly does make a difference in their admissibility. I did do a little bit of reading and research today on foreign language instruction, and I think it's commonly accepted that the earlier a child starts learning the language, the easier it will be for them and the more proficient they will become. One thing I did not know is that studies have shown that students who learn foreign languages perform better on verbal and math standardized tests than those who have not studied foreign language, even if they've had less math. So students who have had fewer years of math, but also study foreign language, tend to do better on math tests. That's a new one to me, and I think that says a lot about the importance of foreign language and what it can do for the mind and for critical thinking and learning. And just one last quick point I'll make. Another thing I read today is that experts argue that a minimum of 6 to 8 years is required before a student will reach full proficiency. And so they really need the time in middle school to start their foreign language. And I guess one last point I'd like to make is, as a child, I had foreign language in elementary school. And that was, 60 some years ago. And I just feel like for Maranacook to be considering cutting foreign language in middle school is really a step backward. And I'll end there. Thank you for your time and for your service.
All right, thank you for joining. I think that's everybody online. That's everybody who signed up. So we're going to take a 3-minute recess. I'm going to call the meeting back to order, please. So if everyone can take their seats. All right, I'm gonna ask Jay to give a kind of an update where we're at, which is gonna be, I wanna be very clear, this is an estimate because the documents were based on not adding those 3 positions we added back in.
Right.
So he's gonna try to do it from past documents.
Yeah.
So it is an estimate, to be very clear.
So the handouts that had the warrant article budget summary, which is the first page, that was based on those 3 positions that were put back in, being out of the budget. So I'm going back to our second draft budget. And again, it's a little bit of an estimate because there's some fine tuning there, but it puts us at about 6.4, 6.49, somewhere in that neighborhood in terms of where the budget is if we add those 3 positions back in. So we did, I will tell the board that we did get our anthem rate. We got the highest rate. It could possibly be 11.5. It came in at 11.41. So there's really no savings in the health insurance this year. So just so that you're kind of aware of that. So other than that, it's pretty much unchanged. But again, it's probably more like a 6.4 range at this point.
All right,
Yeah.
thank you. Does anyone have any questions? Kelty, go ahead.
Just on the back side of this page, what's that asterisk?
That you're looking at the packet. Hold on, I've got to go back there.
It's just a side note.
Yeah. There's an asterisk.
I think
Yeah,
it's just,
besides the intake.
I think it's just
Yeah.
because in the original one, there were 2
That's right, yes.
listed there,
Yes.
so it's just
Yep,
identifying which one was
Yep.
which. And so to be clear, when you talk about those 3 positions we moved back in was
the 3 ed tech positions that are in red there,
the 3 ed tech positions,
that are in red.
math ed tech and the 2 technology ed techs.
You've got a library ed tech, that's a 0.6.
Oh, that
one math ed tech, and then 1 technology ed tech. Yeah, and it should say 1, not 2, right? So, yeah. So those 3 positions went back in, so that's why it's probably right around 6.4 rather than 5.77. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, added about
Yeah.
100,000 back.
right.
Correct. And currently, please correct me if I'm wrong, Jay, the math ed tech and the technology ed tech, those are not filled? Well, which ones aren't filled out?
The 0.6 library ed tech, that the person in that position is resigning. The math ed tech, that was funded by tier 3, we have not been able to fill all year long. But there is someone in the technology ed tech
Okay,
role.
so, okay, resigning, not filled, current.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
I have a question.
Christine's first.
So the technology ed techs, the 2 elementary level ed techs, the asterisk there is, that's not both positions, it was one of those
It was
positions.
supposed to be 1, yes.
Okay,
Yep.
thanks, thank you.
Yep.
All right, Kristen?
Yes. So I just have a question. Were we ever cutting foreign language? All of foreign language in
In the
middle school?
original proposal I gave about 2 weeks ago, we did talk about the possibility of having 1 foreign language cut. And I had made a note there, a little bit of it depended on the model that the middle school chose.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Has the model been chosen?
Yes, they have a model. Rick, do you mind taking a couple minutes and just sharing a little bit about that, if you're comfortable? Thank you.
All right, I will do my best to be brief. This is a lot of work, and some of the documents that I have, I'm happy to share with the board, but they're dense and might require a little bit of explanation. In general, what I would like to share is the overall structure that the middle school proposed to Superintendent Charette. that has been recently approved consists of 4 teaching teams of 3 teachers each, 75 students per team, and that there would be 2 additional teachers that would split time between 2 of those teams to give further support in math and ELA. They would have full teaching schedules. They would have the exact same requirements as all other professional staff. They would just share their time between 2 teams instead of be allocated directly to 1 team. That will help reduce some of those class sizes. Without those 2 teachers, we are pushing the max of 25 students in every single class across the board. And if that is dependent on if there were a completely equitable cut between grade level math and other factors that way. So we're talking averages, but there would be 25 students per classroom. What the restructuring committee did on our first meeting was develop a list of priorities that we wanted to preserve, that were priorities for our school, along with also considering, the tasks that were given to us by the superintendent. The superintendent simply charged us with creating more equitable class sizes. This plan does that, and there are a lot of graphics that would show exactly how that is, right down to individual student schedules, what that would look like for all 290 students plus that we would be expecting next year. The priorities that the committee wanted to emphasize were, again, equity of class sizes. I'm sorry, I didn't finish with the tasks. Also doubling UA class time, namely PE, but we did that across the board with health, music, and art as well. What we prioritized was equitable class sizes that aim to fall within the range set forth by the superintendent in the initial budget guidelines that he gave me right at the beginning of budget season. Integrated curriculum, advisee time, common planning time for teams, including UA teams and world language teams, multi-age teams. Again, this proposal supports year-long world language. Also preserving a tutorial time, because currently that is how we support ensembles for music without having a pullout. So we're not sacrificing, what class do I pull a kid out of so they can, enjoy all the benefits of music, the chorus, jazz band, chamber choir. And also preserving an activity period for our students to get some movement or additional help during their day. That is really a pretty drastic oversimplification at this point, so I welcome questions, but that is the overall structure. I will say that now that we have approval and based on what the school board decides as far as staffing for next year, we still have a lot of work to do that we're eager to get to. This is a framework. There are a lot of blanks that need to be filled in, and I know that our team is eager to get to that work.
Thank you. I have a question. So this restructure plan, does it eliminate any staff as written?
It doesn't. One of the things that Superintendent Schratt asks us to look at is that over a 5-year period, it does appear that we might expect a declining enrollment. However, for the next year or two, numbers seem to be fairly stable. What this does, though, is allows in the future, if we do need to reduce staff, to do that without a heavy impact. Those additional teachers, we really could remove those once numbers decline enough and still create reasonable class sizes without impacting the structures of the school that we'll be putting in place.
Thank you for that answer. Is there any other questions for Mr. Steve?
I have a question. I'm pretty sure this has already been answered, but I'm sorry. It's so much information. The concern over equity was based on class sizes, or what was the original sort of charge to the restructuring was happening because of equity of what?
I think one of the factors were current class sizes. You all received the audit that Superintendent Schratt handed out, was that last week? And, we do have, at the middle school, I think we landed around 5 classes that were at 10 or fewer students. So that was, I believe, a part of why this charge was passed.
So if you have, okay, and so can I just keep going with a couple questions? I won't be too long.
Yeah, go ahead.
So 4 teams of 3 teachers, and you currently have something different than that?
We do, and I will say it's less than perfect, but we do have 4 core teaching teams that consist of 3 teachers and 1 core teaching team that consists of 2 teachers. Under prior school administration, there was a big push to increase our teaching staff, but the byproduct of that was less than perfect. A 2-teacher team in our system was really, I get the reason why we went there, but it's a little bit clunky if I'm being honest, and that is part of what leads to the inequitable class sizes. When our students go to UAs, typically we have 2 teams that go out together into the UAs and the world languages. When you have a smaller team, those class sizes will naturally be smaller.
Okay, so the class sizes were smaller because you had a team with just 2 teachers?
In part, we also have an alternative ed team that factors into that has, 10 students or even less right now. So when you pair them with another team, that's where you get, a French class size of 5 students.
Okay. And the 75 students per team now, that's what it will be with 4 teams of 3 teachers?
Correct. Our current sizes fall between 60 and 65 students per team. So, team sizes will be a little bit bigger, but again, we're able to distribute those students using those other staff members that would be tied to teams.
And so lots of thanks to the restructuring committee for all
Big
of the
thanks.
work
It was a
that
lot of
this
work,
must
and
have taken.
Thank you.
Yeah, what was the makeup of that team? Who was on the team? Like, this is what I really want to know. Were middle school teachers also represented on the team? I'd be shocked if I heard no, but I just want to, make sure that I'm asking all the questions and.
Yeah, thank you. They were heavily represented. Myself and Dr. Smith were the only administrators on the restructuring committee. And then outside of that, it was made up of a diverse group of teachers that were selected to include special ed representation, unified art representation, world language representation, and a few core teachers.
Thank you for answering that question. I didn't mean to suggest that I thought that there would not have been, but I just wanted to know exactly what the makeup was, so thanks for that.
Thank you.
All right. Anyone else have questions for Mr. Sears? Yes, Brian, go ahead.
Yeah, do you guys like this restructuring plan as you've worked on it and put all this effort into it? Is this something you're happy about, or is it?
Yeah, we're excited about the potential. I do think that the staff at the middle school is pretty reflective, and there are opportunities to iron out some things that weren't perfect. The big thing is that we really wanted to preserve those items that I had listed out. And with this approved proposal, we are able to preserve all of that. So I do think there's, a level of excitement and anticipation for what that can bring. But like I said, there's still a lot of fine tuning to be done. But the structures overall, I think, are pretty acceptable to everyone in the school.
So to your understanding that with a broadly diverse group of people that help put that together, that everybody's on board with that plan as it's written? Because we've heard about this plan for 4 meetings or something, and this is the first time I've actually heard anything specific about it. So I appreciate it. So I just want to know that you, as the guy who has to run the middle school, is happy about it and have a team behind you that's happy about it.
Yeah, there are implications that we need to look at, and I'm happy to share those. They're not things that are unmanageable. But there are going to be implications that we need to look at down the road, right? When you double UA, you need to provide those teachers an opportunity to double their curriculum. They have double the face time with kids, and we're not going to recycle the exact same curriculum that they've already seen. So, we have to look at allowing time for that to happen and resources for that to happen. We're also looking at, really maxing out those UA class sizes, and that's going to have some potential budget implications down the road. If we have class sizes of 25, I don't think we have 25 guitars sitting in the music room. So those are things that we're going to need to look at. Our gym teacher is going to require more materials because she's doubling the number of units that she's going to be offering the kids. Those are some of the byproducts of it, but those aren't things that need to be tackled this year, but those are conversations that will be coming up for next year.
Okay, thank you.
All right, David Twitchell, online.
Hey there. Thank you. I just wanted to say thank you to the team, to everybody that put together that team and did that work. As the questions brought out, I'm really pleased to hear that it was working together to work on some important goals while at the same time not excluding people that needed to be part of it. So I'm very grateful, top to bottom, for everybody that made that happen and put it together. Thank you.
What do we at?
Kristen, go ahead.
I know this is so tedious, but we're hearing what it is going to be, but I don't know if all of us, and if in a nutshell, what is it evolving from? I mean, that's I know it's a hard question, but I've never been explained the structure of the middle school before, and I don't have a middle schooler either, so maybe that's why. And I have heard a lot of feedback actually from the community, and equity was used, not in the way that I'm hearing equity used from you guys. Can you give us like a little blurb of like the maybe major changes? Why are the classes sizes getting larger? Was it because they had more options for the smaller class sizes? Are we streamlining?
No, I mean, really class sizes in our core content areas are going to remain pretty similar to what they are right now. The major difference here is our unified arts. If we're doubling that class time, we are going to have to increase those class sizes. We have 4 unified arts teachers and just under 300 students. If you are giving them a semester of 4 different unified arts, if you do the math, that breaks down to class sizes of 25 students. When you're doubling that, I mean, that is really a byproduct that you can't avoid.
I think Becky had a question next.
Yes, I just wanted to know if you feel that the priorities that you had set out were met.
I do.
In this plan.
I do.
Okay, thank you.
So we've been talking about best practice, and I'm wondering about the doubling of UA. Was that one of the original one of the original requests, or was that something that you guys as a team generated through discussion of options on the restructuring?
It was not generated as part of the restructuring discussions. It was, I think the board for a while has been talking about increasing exposure to PE. And it was, really difficult for us to think of an equitable way for teaching loads and everything else to just double PE without, doubling the other unified arts exposures as well.
Okay. And the plan that you guys have generated and that everybody seems happy with includes the world language program staying as it is? Is that?
That is a part of the restructure, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So can you explain to people what kids currently get for UAs today and what they would get next year under this restructuring plan?
Yeah, I can. So right now, every student in our school has exposure to each of the 4 unified arts, consisting of music, art, PE, and health. They get 1 quarter each, which equates to 9 weeks every other day. This is going to give us a semester long in each unified art, so it doubles their exposure to 18 weeks.
Thank you. I did know that answer, and I have a young man that's going to be very happy to hear that when I call him on his way to Canada. So, go ahead.
So the other positions that are possibly going to be cut, the middle school teacher, long-term substitute, and the other middle school teacher, those are included in your restructuring?
Those are currently included. If the board decides that those two positions will be eliminated, that's when class sizes, as I had indicated, will push to 25 across the board plus.
Thank you.
All right. Any other further questions, Mr. Searice? All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, I don't know if
Okay.
David still has his hand up.
David, did you have a follow-up question, or was that from before? My apologies.
That's from before, sorry.
Okay, no worries. Oh, yeah, we can go to further discussion now, so.
I have a question for Jay.
Yep.
So given the restructuring plan that you have agreed on, does that change any of your recommendations that are on this list?
Yeah, I would leave in the 2 middle school teachers as well as the foreign language.
So leave the 2 middle schools. Okay.
Then I would make a motion to accept Jay's recommendation minus the 2 middle school teachers and the world language at the middle school.
Second.
Having been moved and seconded, further discussion?
Does this mean that those 3 positions that we had cut last time would stay cut?
Can you?
Yes. Yes, what this would do is it would cut everything that Jay recommends on this sheet, except for the 2 middle school teachers that he just said he wants to keep and the world language.
Okay, are we lumping all of them together? Because I changed my mind about the library ed tech.
Well, that's what my motion is to include all of these together.
Okay.
Except for the 3 middle school teachers. To accept his recommendation as he's presented it to us on that sheet.
So what sheet are we referring to?
Well, this one's actually from last.
Are we referring to this sheet?
No.
I think so.
Referring to, I don't have that sheet.
I think it's this one.
No, that's the new one.
That's the new one. No,
I want to be clear what we're.
She's looking at the last page.
Are you looking at the last page?
Yes.
Yeah, she's looking at this page in the packet we got tonight, just to be clear. So her motion is to cut everything except the 2 middle school and the world language on this page.
Yes, but if I could just be a little more clear.
Yeah.
His recommendations on the sheet that I'm looking at is if the elementary principal is cut, that we should keep the math ed tech. Whoops, I'm sorry, wrong one. Math and literacy back to half and half, previously funded by ESSER in Tier 3. It says here in his notes that if there is no principal, I encourage that this remains unchanged. Do you
Yep,
still?
I still do that.
Okay, then I would suggest that we cut everything on this list except for math literacy, WES, back to half and half, middle school teachers, and the world language.
Can you please list all the things that we're cutting? I'm sorry, if you could just go down.
High school technology, transportation,
Yeah.
elementary library ed tech, elementary nurse, elementary guidance, elementary principal, math ed tech, technology integrationist, and technology ed techs.
So those you want to cut?
Correct.
Okay.
That's the motion.
Did not know that when I seconded the motion.
All right, further discussion. I see Kelty.
Jay, why are these your recommendations?
Those, I had mentioned this before, we're looking at what hasn't been filled or we could cut through attrition, so we're not knocking anybody out of a position. And these other positions that were funded by ESSER, we knew that those were supposed to be, here temporarily. So that's kind of what I had taken a look at going forward.
All right, next I saw David.
Yes, thank you. I like the general idea, as you just put it, Jay, of things that hadn't been filled. That's a easier way, or we're through attrition there, if we can continue the quality of things. Good. I'm a little concerned about cutting the nurse. We voted to keep some of those positions, like the principal, at least that's what I remember, the principal and counselor. I may be remembering wrong, but I thought that included the nurse, the elementary nurse. I'm glad the languages are coming back in. If we did anything, I would want to use any spare staff time we had, teacher time we had, to expand it in the elementary schools rather than saving by cutting back. But that's already cleared up. Thank you. Well, that's it for the moment. I think I'd like to keep the nurse.
All right, you good, David?
Sean, I
Christine?
just, yeah, thanks. I don't want to second that motion. And so that's why I'm like kind of, really insisting on continuing to raise my hand. So I don't know if you need somebody else to second it. I just am not in support of cutting elementary guidance and the elementary principal.
Okay, does anyone else want to second that motion? If not, then we're gonna move on. Need a second. All right, Kelty?
I would like to move to retain the positions as listed on this list, with the exception of the high school technology interventionist retiring, not replacing, the transportation for bus aides.
Second.
Thank you.
That's what I thought. That's my second.
Okay, well, we have a second for that motion, so that motion is now on the table. All right, Brian, go ahead.
It's a lot of paper. So to go back to the warrant article budget summary, third draft, April 3, 2024, just so we're all clear on this, are all these positions in this
No.
budget, apart from those three that we talked about,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So, okay, so I get
Yes.
that's the 90,000.
So we, just have to plug in those 3 ed tech positions back in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, seeing no, what's, David, you want to talk about this motion, this new
No,
motion?
somehow my hand isn't coming down the way it should. Sorry.
All right, Pat?
I'm still bringing up the library ed tech.
So right now, what did we just move to cut? Sorry,
Only the top two.
The top 2, yeah.
So the high school technology and transportation, so that is not part of this motion.
Okay, thank you.
Mike? Yes. Becky, go ahead.
I am not in favor of this motion, and I'll be voting against it. And I just want to say that the increase that we have in front of us, in addition to a 44% county increase, whatever the towns are going to be, I think it's going to be way too much for some of our more vulnerable community members to absorb, and I'm not for that. Also, I think by having Jay do all this work and bring these recommendations forward, I don't think that shows that we put very much confidence in him if we're going to say that these positions
shouldn't be cut. I think he's done a lot of work and done a lot of research into seeing if these would be absorbed. And last thing I want to say is that when we put the COVID-funded positions in, we knew that they were going to be coming out. So that's just where I'm at. So I will be voting no.
Okay. I saw Christine first and then, well, actually Christine spoke a couple. Let me go to Annie, sorry.
No, it's fine.
So Jay, is this your most current recommendation with the positions?
Well, yeah, things have moved and changed, so at this point, I'm kind of, let's just get a number and move forward here. So yeah.
Christine, go ahead.
Yeah, so two things. First, I just want to express concern for people who are on fixed incomes. I understand that. And still, we have to move forward with, we have to make decisions, right? Hard either way. Second, I just want to say that legislative bodies are not bound to what previous legislative bodies have determined. That's a standard practice among legislative bodies. This is a legislative body. It's made up of different people now than when these positions were added. So we did not all expect that these would be cut. Maybe the previous board did, but there are new people here, and so I think they need to be revisited at this time. And I also would want to ask absolute respect and gratitude for the work that Jay has done, bringing different versions back to us so many times. I wonder how these cuts, I assumed that these were determined by an admin team meeting and the administrators coming together and saying, hey, these are the things that we think we can do without. We can absorb these. And I just want to ask if that was the process or if it was a different process that led to these suggested cuts.
It was a different process.
And, okay, so was it, how was feedback gotten, or was there not time for that? I mean, I'm not making any judgment about the process. I just want to know how it was made and whose input was received.
So I did talk to various people, but most of this came from me.
Okay, thank you.
Because there wasn't a whole lot of time.
Yeah, okay, thank you for that.
Next, Kelty, sorry, I think I saw Tyler before. Yeah, Tyler, you kind of took it down and now your hand's back up. Go ahead. Tyler?
Sorry, mic was double muted. I think given where we're at and the feedback we're getting from the towns, I think I'm fine with 6.4%. I am concerned that given, the trajectory we've had over the last 3 years, that we're eventually going to have to make a lot of difficult decisions on the services that we provide and the budget increases we bring to the towns, because it's not just us that's raising the budget, it's the towns, it's the county, it's the state. And I think we do amazing work here, and I think our educators do amazing work. I stand behind them. I'm hesitant to continue pushing through these large budget increases.
Thanks, Tyler. David, is your hand still up, or I just want to make
This
sure?
time I got it. Thank you. This time I had gotten it down and back up. Thank you.
Okay.
I agree that each position needs to be considered for its value or our ability to cut it back. I agree we need to keep restraint, and I think this board is doing it. I am so grateful to everybody that has input on the budget, and to Jay for, whenever he can, bringing everything into it. But I believe from the way it's been put, that you are bringing us these ideas so that we can consider them as possibilities for keeping the budget under control or reducing the increase. So I am fine where it is. I am fine with the motion as is, and want to give Jay that number to just go ahead.
All right, thanks,
Thank you.
David. Yeah. Leslie.
Can I get square on a couple things?
Yes, ma'am.
So, last week when we spoke, Jay had brought something to us that was still looking at, or rather what we had decided last week, the math and literacy ed tech was not a part of what would have been pulled out of a draft. So we aren't just reverting, I don't think, to what this number is on draft 2 as a percentage, and what still hangs in the ether is association negotiations. And I want to know how, without that having concluded, that percentage that sits there as well is still not also final. And with others that have spoken some, this is very difficult. Everybody cares very much about not just children and not just staff and not just community members. There's not a doubt that there's a person here or online that does not care about people and impact to people regardless of age. But what we do have in front of us is a recovery from funding from ESSER funds that no longer is available to us. We have increases coming with healthcare changes that are beyond our control as well. There's a lot that's in play, and it is just not easy. So I just want to make sure that I'm clear and that everybody who is listening is clear that even if we're talking about a percentage out loud that's rather specific, I'm not sure how specific it is because there are still some decisions that are not final.
So if it's okay, I'll just put it out there. We had an executive session where we set a max amount that we would pay, and that's what's factored into the budget at this time. We do not put that out publicly because that would be against negotiation guidelines.
And I'm not questioning that, I'm just questioning the fact that it's just not final.
Right.
I do recall that we have set a reasonable expectation around some of that, and that's what we're trying to plan around.
Yeah, but I just want to be clear so that, again, everybody here knows what they're voting on, so.
And we're currently right now only voting on a motion
We're
that
only
says
voting-
to move
yes,
forward specifically with.
Yes, we'll have to
Well,
bring
right
back to you.
this second, right now, we're voting on to cut 2 positions.
Correct.
Yeah.
So let's deal with that, and then we can move on to a different
Yep,
conversation.
I'm with you.
Donna, are you okay? You look like you have a question for the notes, so.
So the vote that was taken originally when the meeting first started,
Yes.
that was putting back the principal.
No,
as well
it was
as
putting the
the
3 ed
readers.
tech positions
That's
back
what I
in.
thought, but
Yeah.
now the
Well,
motion
should-
is to,
The motion at hand is to cut the high school technology in the 4 transportation buses.
right.
That's what we're dealing with. So that's what we're dealing with at this moment.
That would leave everything else on the table.
Yes. Shelby.
Thank you, Sean. I just wanted to take 1 second on the record to elaborate on that, why I want this motion to pass, is thank you to everybody who does work here for us. Thank you for applying here, staying here through everything we've been through over these years. It's been a roller coaster. I know this is my 3rd term here, thankful to be here. I've seen morale dip low, and I've seen it only increase as of late. And I am a firm believer that it's because of these positions the ESSER funds brought us to. And so what we thought then was we'd revisit it, doesn't mean we're going to cut it. And so we revisit it now, and it's proving beneficial in a lot of wonderful ways for students, staff, and retention is there, a lot of things. So that's a plus. I know the budget is high, I'm a single income home myself. Every penny is spoken for. But like Kathy said, a budget shouldn't be about, it's people's, people are not positions. And the budget shouldn't be guided by a dollar amount, rather the value of the education for the students. So we took an oath to make sure we were providing the best possible resources for the students with a fiscal responsibility. But I'm not here to dictate what is and isn't expensive to somebody. But what is non-negotiable is the resources our kids absolutely need. And to incline in our gap, we've seen over and over again, we've got to close that gap, that we're in COVID hangover still, and we need all the resources we can get our hands on, not to mention it's hard to fill these positions. Do we have a giant pool of a whole bunch of educators knocking on our doors? Nope. So let's retain what we have because they are precious. Also, our tagline is a caring school community dedicated to excellence. What does that mean? That means offer what you can. Offer lots of things. Be competitive. We're always talking about being competitive to our neighboring schools. We want people to move to our communities. We want teachers to come here, over next door. Please stay here. Please, we care about you. We're trying to build it up slowly but surely because this is shocking throughout the community as a price tag. And that happens slowly, obviously, but we all agree to get there. We want to get there. We want to offer everything we can for these students across the board. It only has a lot of pluses to retain all of these very valuable, helpful positions and diversity. And I love, Mark, that you brought even that cool thought too about how it does take diversity to make all the connections necessary to capture these kids. And they are literally the foundation of the world, so they matter. And we can't shortchange them because we think someone might think it's too expensive. So I sit here saying retain it and bring it to our town's voters, which is everybody that matters, and that's who has the final vote. And let them decide, but it's not up to me to decide what is valuable here and isn't as far as a dollar amount. So I think children matter, that's our oath, and that's why we have to retain what we can here. Obviously, attrition, is that the word? Decline in enrollment, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. We don't have to do that just yet. We got to focus on right now, and I am thankful that people have even considered looking here, and I hope we can take care of you right back. That's all I have to say.
All right, thanks, Kelty. Is there anyone?
Just the last thing, which says that when we go to vote on the motion is
to cut the
top two, but it does not mean we accept everything else in inclusion. Is that correct?
Yes, it does, to retain all of these positions, excluding those top two.
What about non-positions? What about not people? And I know there are drops in the bucket, but I just want it to at least be understood that there is more that we have looked at, and Kelty, you have stood on this box for this. There are some things that still I'm not sure that we need as a dire necessity as we sit here and talk solely about the children. And so there's not enough, I think, and not enough time, definitely not for us to get into that further. So I also want to encourage that this process in the future doesn't only include presentations from departments that include changes, but that there's more information and more transparency on full budget so we can dive further into things that aren't only people, and that we cannot sit here in a really difficult situation that is really focused on people.
Thanks, Leslie. Next, I think Annie.
So just generally, we're talking about numbers, and I feel like there's always a price tag to pay, whether it's in the form of a budget that's a certain number, or it comes, unfortunately, later on in the form of lost opportunity for students and the loss of quality staff. So I did want to put that out there.
Thanks, Annie. Brian?
I just want to say that on this page it says draft budget saving options, SY 2025 is pink and red. We talked a lot about it. this is something the board asked Jay to provide, right? So we said if we need to cut money out of the budget, Jay, would you please provide us with some guidance on those positions because we're far removed from the day-to-day workings of the school. So Jay provided this to us in order, and here we sit today after having looked at this many, many times. And the middle school teacher discussion came up on this. These were the lowest priorities that Jay suggested. These are priorities I don't think any of us really ever thought seriously about cutting. We've been focused on three different ed techs for a long time. But am I correct in saying that if we take out, looking at that page, the $90,000 high school technology person and the 4 bus aides that were never really, and they don't exist today anyway, that was an idea that we had, that we have children on buses that don't have enough people on them so that if there's an accident, those children may be on their own. I mean, that's kind of terrifying, but that's okay. That was never part of this. But if we execute this motion as it stands, is it fair to say that the budget kind of balances out the high school technology folks, balance out the elementary ed techs, and really we're just saving $146,000 roughly off the budget as presented? Is that about right?
If we
I don't mean to put you on the spot, Mandy. You didn't bring your spreadsheet.
So if we only cut the high school integrationists and the transportation aides, we revert back closer to draft 2, which was the 6.49. The current draft that was provided today includes those 3 ed techs. So the 5.77 is those cuts that are in red that Jay provided on this sheet. So that would be those top 2 that we just discussed and those 3 ed techs. One of which is, I believe, resigning at the end of the year and one of which hasn't been filled.
Sure.
So if we kept the 5.77 that we are at for draft 3, it would just be those positions in red and no further positions.
And as for, Wesley had mentioned, there are other things we could have cut along the way, but we're focused on this right now, right? So I'd say we've done an awful lot of work, guys, on this and been around the barn, so I'm ready to vote.
Okay, thanks, Brian.
I have another question.
Kristen, go ahead.
So, is the 6.49, are we sure that's with those bus aids? Because I remember seeing
Yes.
transportation, when transportation was, when was it 22% then? When we first got
On the
this,
first.
it was 22%. So what did we cut then, making it now 9.49? I thought that was the transportation aid.
It's not 9.49, 6.49.
No, on just
Draft
that
2
line,
was 6.49.
just that line item.
The
Mandy.
transportation.
So today I'm
Article
seeing a 9.49 difference.
From 1036.
She's looking at the top page.
So when I first saw this sheet, it was 22%.
Yes, on
Not this
Article
sheet.
9, transportation, yes.
On the first draft.
It was 22%. And then,
Right.
so how can that be in the 6.49? I'm just trying to understand.
We also got our fuel bid prices, so part of that is the fuel bid,
Okay.
the reduction in
So
fuel,
12%?
which we reported on last.
12% was the reduction of fuel?
From the first draft, no, it's the 4 bus aids
Okay.
plus additional fuel costs.
Yes.
Okay.
From first draft to third draft.
Okay. Okay, just want to make sure that.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, well, I'm gonna say something now, I guess. So there's been a lot said here tonight. I've probably spent, not exaggerating, 20 hours on the phone since last meeting. I have pages of notes, a lot of different feelings, a lot of different community members. I'm very visible in the community. I try not to miss anything in this district. I talk to a lot of people. I come to my kids' school, I think, every day. I'm very, very open to people. It's how I like to live my life. So you hear a lot about, well, do board members care about the middle school? Well, People don't know. Sorry. I have a 6th grader and an 8th grader at the middle school, and they are my whole world. So that's not even a thought for me. I've been in Mr. Aspinall's room, I don't know how many times, and talked to him about my daughter's education. Sometimes weekly about my kids' education. They both are high honor students. I take them to every event they want to go to at this school district. So, yup, I do take some of this personal. This is a volunteer role, and we are working as hard as we can to make this work. I've spent my whole life in the public sector. People don't know. People want to talk about what they assume they know, send emails, blind text, and not put a face to a name. I'm going to share a little bit. 21 years of my life has been in the public sector. You can look up how much I've made my whole life. You can look whatever you want about me. So I do care about the kids in the middle school an awful lot. I care about the kids in the high school all the way through. And people on this board do, because people wouldn't be here for $10 a meeting plus all the other volunteer time away from their families. So you want to know what this has to do about the budget? There's been a lot of things cast that I think need to be corrected. There's been a lot of work done by the superintendent. He is available if you want to come talk to him. He is available. I know people that call him. I've directed. There's more. Could the budget process be more open? I think how schools do budgets all around the state could be more open. Not open, but more done in a more organized manner. I went to the main school management and talked to them about that. We want to talk about equity. If people think not cutting positions is going to make the school equitable, I don't know where you look at it. You live in one town, you're in a class with 7 kids. You live in a different town, you're in a class with, Leslie, thanks for sending it to me. You're in a class with 22 kids. If you're in a class with 7 and 22 and you have a teacher and an ed tech, you're getting a lot more attention. That's just the facts of life, folks. So I have a hard time. I'm voting no on this. I have a hard time. I think about the people who can't be here tonight, who don't know here to be here tonight. And yeah, the budget, it's a responsibility. I think there could be restructuring and a lot more that could be done. I made that proposal. I look forward to this many people spending the summer with us on how we can restructure the schools in providing the same amount of input I received in the last week on the restructuring or not restructuring our middle schools. I welcome that because I will be at every meeting. So I think people put in a lot of time. And so my points are, I just cutting these few things or not cutting these few things are going to make things equitable. That's not reality to me. So that's all I have to say, and I will be voting no. So I call for a vote.
Okay, everyone ready? Wendy, you're first up.
Oh, my. Yes.
Kristen.
No.
David G. No. Annie.
No.
Tyler.
No.
Christine.
Yes.
Leslie.
No.
Patricia.
Yes.
Rebecca.
No.
Sean.
No.
Brian.
Yes.
Kelty.
Yes.
David T.
Yes.
And Abigail.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Seven. There's 6 yeses and 7 nos. Let me check the weighted votes.
It'll pass. As long as it's a majority, it'll pass.
Okay. So it doesn't pass then because it's 6 yeses and 7 nos.
Oh, I was,
Yeah.
I can run the, if you want to take a minute, I can.
I think it's
run.
Yeah, let's just make sure. Yep.
Kristen wants to know.
Yeah.
just have to go through.
No.
each one. Based on that, was a no. Sorry. So I have for the weighted vote, there was 6 yes and 7 no. I have a tally of 459.83 yes and 540.16 no.
Yep, that's what I got as well, so. So the motion does not pass.
Then I would move the motion that I made before to cut everything except for the math literacy middle school teacher and world language.
Second.
Having been moved and seconded, discussion. Christine, go ahead.
Yeah, I just, I mean, I will vote no. I don't know that we can do too much more discussion about this. I think that it's going to come down to, and I'm fine with this. This is a body of people that is, this isn't personal stuff. It's, well, I mean, maybe it is personal stuff for some people, and I don't mean to invalidate your experience. That's not what I was referring to. I was just saying we have to make some tough decisions, and we all care about kids. We all care about people in the community. So, I just, I think we just vote. I mean, how much more discussion, can there be?
Does anyone have any more questions? I think we've gone around this, but I just want to make sure. Patricia, go ahead.
Well, we could vote, but it's liable to turn out similarly. I'm thinking maybe we go back to what we had.
Motion on the floor.
Yeah, we have a motion, so I think we need to vote. Well, we don't need to. We can continue to have discussion, but let's not cloudy with the motions. Kelty?
I would like to urge Becky to amend her motion
No.
to sound more like my motion. No.
Okay. No, let's not debate. It's not. David?
Hi there. Thank you. I would rather take the last vote, but just let's get rid of those 2 positions that last vote started with, and then deal with the other things. I can't accept this vote, this motion as it's set.
All right, thanks, David. Tyler?
I don't understand why we're going backwards. We voted last week to retain the nurse, the guidance, the principal. We said we would investigate Jay's proposals around the middle school. We've heard it. I'm a no on this. I want to go back to where we were last week.
Okay, thanks, Tyler. All right, I'm calling for a vote.
Okay. Wendy?
No.
Excuse me, could you just restate the motion? There's some confusion.
Okay, the motion is to cut everything on this sheet as recommended by Jay, except the middle school teachers, the world language teacher, and the math and literacy specialists. All right?
Okay, so Wendy,
We're voting.
okay. All right, so Wendy, you're still a no, I'm just confirming?
Yeah, no, correct.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Kristen?
Yes.
David G? Annie?
No.
Tyler?
No.
Christine?
No.
Leslie?
No.
Patricia?
No.
Rebecca?
Yes.
Sean?
Yes.
Brian,
No.
Kelty,
No.
David T,
No.
Abigail.
No.
All right, 1, 2, 3, there's 4 yeses. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
Yeah,
7,
the vote
8,
Travis.
9, yeah, 9 no's.
Sean, can I make a motion?
Yes, Tyler, go ahead.
All right, this is what we cut last week. I'd motion to cut high school technology interventionist that's retiring, not replacing, the transportation aides, the library ed tech, bring the literacy and math back to half and half, and cut the technology ed tech that we did last week, and then
Second.
retain everything else.
All right,
Second.
been moved and seconded.
Sorry. To be clear, that doesn't match.
What are we, okay.
So we had the 3 positions we cut last week that we added back at the beginning of the meeting. Go back, recut those, and then cut the high school technology interventionist and the transportation aid that we had cut through this entire budget process.
So Tyler, I just need to clarify, you're not talking about cutting the WES ed techs, you're talking about the technology ed tech, the library aid,
Yep.
and the math ed tech.
Yes, those are the 3 that we added back at the beginning of the meeting, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, okay.
And then
just
the
wanna make
two,
sure.
the other 2 at the top of the list that we discussed.
And yeah,
So it should be 5 total things.
5, good, that's what I've got, perfect, okay.
Okay. Everyone square what we're voting on? 'Cause- All right. If everybody's good, we're gonna vote. Thanks.
Okay. Wendy,
Yes.
Kristen,
No.
David G. No. Annie,
Yes.
Tyler,
Yes.
Christine,
Yes.
Leslie,
Yes.
Patricia,
Yes.
Rebecca,
No.
Sean,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
Kelty,
Yes.
David T,
Yes.
Abigail.
Yes.
All right, so 3 no's and 10 yeses, so it passes.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Everyone get some rest, drive safe, and make a motion to adjourn.
So moved.